We'll just talk.
We will project.
Oh, I like it.
Can you
like
hear
it.
us if we're just talking like this?
I can hear lots
can
of
hear
bug
you just
noises,
But do you
I
want?
like the
Yeah.
mic. I like
You want this?
Yeah.
Ava, is this what you
That's
want?
amazing.
I
Ava
want it. I
likes
want
it. It's
it.
just
Here, let's use it together.
Because Annie and I have kind of a back and forth repartee thing, so we'll have to be very close. This is like we are Siamese twins or whatever
Well, you know what's funny is that we're working on
conjoined.
we're working on a podcast, and we're so fucking lo-fi that we bought we got a really good microphone, but
It's
we
true.
bought a small little like travel
It's a portable
sound
studio.
booth, and we have to sit together like this
and shove our faces into this box, and we look like this. It's really very silly.
So if we projected,
I bet that they can
what's
hear
the
us.
range right here? I don't like being this close
I
to
know, I
you.
don't like you this much. I really don't.
Okay.
Okay.
But I think it's good for the
I can hear.
readers, and maybe when we tell stories solo.
Right. Solo.
Yeah.
Oh. Yeah.
Okay.
It's really. And hear the voice as well.
Okay, I'm just gonna turn it off.
Just hold the button down for a while.
Hold it
and
down.
I got it.
Little green light. Close off.
What?
All right.
Okay. So we're the Grown Up Lady Story Company. And
Yes, indeed. I'm Rebecca Beagle, and this is Annie Lagonga, and that's kind of the basic information.
well, we tell true stories from our lives. We do it usually in people's houses. We also do it in theaters, and we did it in some bookstores.
We'll
with
do it
Billy.
anywhere.
We'll do it anywhere. Is this our first total backyard?
I think this is our first outdoor experience, and what a beautiful one it is. This
And
is
this
great.
great
I know. This is a wonderful stage.
And I want to say something.
I want you to say that thing.
Okay, the reason why we're doing a show here tonight
Yes.
is because this is Craig and Eva's reward for giving us a really generous contribution to a Kickstarter that we did when Billy Potter, one of the people who's going to read tonight,
Yes.
and Rebecca and I went on tour when his book came out. We went in the Grown Up Ladies in partnership with McSweeney's and Billy. We went on a tour of the South, and of course, like people do today, we hit up everyone we know and don't know for money.
And Craig is someone we don't know.
We don't know.
Yes.
And he gave us the most
He gave
money.
us so much money, and this was the reward. So we better make this show good.
Yeah.
Annie.
Well, let me say this. Even
Yeah.
if the show's not good, the tour was so good.
The tour was
We really had a
fantastic.
great time, and one of the things we did, we were in Oxford, Mississippi, which is a fantastic town. Everyone, they love writing. It's very literary.
Very.
But some people that we had met in Memphis said you have to go to Graceland too. TOO. Have any of you been there? No. Okay. Well, you can't
You
go
can't
anymore.
go it. Yeah, it's no longer.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, it's a Elvis and Christmas hoarders crumbling folk art mansion.
Open 24 hours a day. The man, it's one guy. What was his name? Paul McLeod,
Cloud.
who basically looked like a decrepit Elvis might if he had lived
Lots
long
of
enough.
jewelry, but I'm telling
Yeah.
you, every surface, everywhere was Elvis or Christmas.
Now
And-
this was not an official stop on our tour. Annie and I took this as a day trip
Yes.
when we had the time.
Billy did not want to do this because Billy doesn't like to do things. He likes to stay in the hotel in his underpants and watch cable, which is a good thing to do. But we went, and
It was
we
just
thought-
the two of us.
It wasn't like we could just go in there and look around. Like we had to be, we were
Oh,
this
no.
guy's fucking hostages.
Yes.
And we had to do like his, hour and a half circuit.
You had to hear all of his stories about each of the items, and if your attention wandered, can I grab you?
Yeah.
He would do this.
You!
And then you had to look, and it hurt. Like I just told you, it hurt. I had bruises.
And it was so weird. I mean, when we
At one
first-
point, he handed you a loaded pistol.
A
that
loaded
apparently
revolver.
had belonged to Elvis.
Elvis is
Yes.
surgeon.
Okay, Elvis is
Elvis is
surgeon.
surgeon.
Yes. Okay.
And
Yes.
and at one point, well, when we first got there, Rebecca, are you married? And she said no. And he said to us, well, someone's going to get pregnant today. That was the first thing he said.
And he
It was amazing.
Yes.
It was amazing.
and that sort of bookended at the end of the tour. He kind of let out this litany of filthy jokes, like clitoris filthy, like there were clitori mentioned, right? Yeah.
He said
Yeah.
there was a clitoris mentioned and a midget with a really giant cock.
Right.
Was one
Yes.
of the other things.
And then we tried to also tell our filthy jokes to keep up with him, and he would poo-poo what we were saying and say, what would he say?
He would say, Mickey Mouse, Donald Duck. Like that was the
Not
phrase
read.
that we were just stupid. But he said to me, my moment with him was, he said, have you been to the airport recently?
Oh, yeah.
And I said, yes. And he said, well, did you have to check those titties or would they let you carry them on? And because he said that, because it was so surreal and so weird, and we had tried to take pictures, I mean, it was an unbelievable place. So when we were leaving on the porch saying goodbye, I let him hold my tit.
I do have a picture of that. I have a picture of that.
Really great pictures with him holding. It was sweet. It was a sweet moment, really, with Paul.
It wasn't that sweet. It
But-
was very strange.
Here's the thing. Tell them why
Like-
they cannot go.
Because 2 months, not even 2 months after
Yeah.
we were there, in the New York Times, we read a story that he had shot and killed someone who had apparently broken in to Graceland 2, although I think breaking in is impossible because it's open 24 hours. So it was
Yes.
something of a sketchy story.
Yes.
But he killed someone. And then the very next day, himself was found just dead, I think of a heart attack, on his front porch. So sorry you can't go see Graceland 2. It ended in a similar
What
way.
a happy story
I know,
you're
this is
telling.
a get a good time rolling story of tragedy and obsession and death. So
Yes.
that's, what else do you want to say about the tour?
One other thing I want to say about the tour is I had the best biscuit of my life. And now I am
And that's not a euphemism, it's an actual biscuit.
I am not a Southern person. I'm one of the terrible LA people who moved here but 15 years ago. So, I mean, and I'm poor, so I didn't really ruin it. Maybe. But, so I've never really been a biscuit person. But then people make biscuits
You're really
here.
telling the biscuit story?
Well, it's not.
This seems more like a personal, I had a great biscuit that you would tell your friend. Like, how is this a public story? But
Here's the thing.
prove me
biscuit.
wrong.
Here's the
I think it's a biscuit.
Here's the thing.
What's
is
the
we went to
story?
a fancy restaurant last night that served biscuits, and I have biscuits on my mind. So this is for me right now. And
Okay,
everyone.
finish your biscuit story.
All I want to say is
It's riveting. It's riveting.
Oh my God! I had the best biscuit of my life. Memphis at a place called Brother Juniper's.
It really was good.
That's
Done.
it.
Okay. That was a great biscuit
If I
story.
had a mic, I would have dropped it right
Okay.
then.
I will
Okay,
say,
so-
I want to say that the
say
tour,
one more
Annie and I did not have books for the tour. It was Billy's book, and we were sort of the warm-up entertainment, much like we're doing now, because writers are going to come up and do some reading tonight, and that's kind of how we did the tour. But we did try to come up with a good name for the tour, because it was a little bit unusual on a book tour to have performance storytellers accompany a novelist. It doesn't happen that often. So among the names that I thought were great that we didn't ultimately go with, I thought we should have done a Pink Lady and Jeff. You know, if anybody remembers that show, does anybody remember?
Anybody?
It was one of the worst
She'll
shows
remember.
ever conceived. It was on NBC. It was a terribly racist and misogynist show of just a guy, Jeff, who had two ladies who often wanted to get into a hot tub. That was like their main goal. He was a comedian, and they wanted to get him into the hot tub.
Yes.
So we thought that was the kind of shtick that we could travel with. But Billy, you didn't really like Pink Lady and Jeff.
I just didn't think it worked.
It didn't work. So instead, we just were the name of the novel. That was the name of the novel.
And I don't think that was a particularly great story.
I think it was
I don't know
slightly
if that
better
was
than the biscuit
better
story.
than the biscuit.
It was an interesting tidbit. I'm sorry.
Are you mad at me?
I'm not mad at you. I just didn't know we were going to anticipation of this event, three fellas, what did they do? This was your idea. What was the idea?
Well, it was Craig's idea that they would collaborate on something.
Yes, okay.
And because I know writers hate each other and hate to be together, at least me as a writer, I hate other writers. And so we thought they should do it like an exquisite corpse drawing, that one person would write the first part and send a paragraph or two to the next person. Then the next person with just a little bit of information would write the next part, and then the third person would finish. So these three gentlemen, who surprisingly I think like each other.
Yes, and that would be Billy, Craig, and Benjamin Reed.
Yes,
Those are the three gentlemen.
Are going to come up now and read this piece for you, and then I'm going to tell a story, and then Ben is going to do a longer reading of his tried and true material, and then Billy is going to read from his book, and Rebecca's going to tell a story.
And then we end with the host,
Headliner,
Craig
McCullough.
Craig reading from some of his work. So that's what you're in for tonight.
And we'll check in if we all need a liquid adjustment at some point. We'll in or out, whatever you got to do. So
we will play that by ear. So I think we need the writers to take the
our
stage.
writers. Craig.
So do we